All right, thank you for staying. Now, beginning with the Daily Trust newspaper, we have the lead story saying, if you take a look at that, it's quite scary. How Nigeria borrowed 225 trillion naira in 20 years. That's the lead story on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. And it has the writers that says, country earned 114 trillion naira same period. So if you subtract 114 trillion naira from 225 trillion naira, how much more will be left? That's the deficit that we are dealing with. Also, if you take a look at oil producing states raked in 9.67 trillion naira special revenue. Trend worrisome, according to experts. Now, the infograph there, if you take a look at it, gives you the breakdown of all the figures, talking about all the borrowings that was done over the years. Also, below that, you see Salah Ansaru preaches rebellion against government in Kaduna. That's on page 3. You also have, above the lead story, inflation, epileptic power, cost of diesel erode gains of doing business. And then you also have Nigeria records 7 million new broadband subscribers in 7 months. Bandits attack Salah celebrants, kill 1, abduct 2 in Katsina. So you'd see these are some of the stories. And then at the very bottom there, how we buy goods with fake bank alerts. And that's according to suspects. 2023, Afenifere leader Adebanjo insists on Igbo presidency. You'd find that on page 6. And then the next one, man kills, sells body parts of 71-year-old woman in Ogun State. These are the stories on the front pages, on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper.
Now let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian newspaper has a lead story that says travelers groan as summer fare spike by 200%, 1 million naira per economy seat. It has a rider that says foreign airlines ditch lowest fares, adjust exchange rate to hedge devaluation shocks. Average travelers lament weak naira to dollar rates fares. Demand still resilient, top travel agencies say. And we have also a story here at the bottom of the paper, just below the pictorial, that says more chieftains resign in protest over APC's Muslim ticket. I was a victim of child trafficking, says Mo Farah. Then above here, right beneath the masthead, we have ADC presidential candidate Kachiko tax citizens to arise, rescue Nigeria over insecurity, economic woes. Then we have another story here. Obi's emergence will not stop Biafra agitation. This is coming from Masop. Also here, there's a story that says Anglican bishop says federal government not honest in tackling insecurity. These are the major stories on The Guardian.
All right, so let's take a look at other papers now, talking about the Leadership newspaper. On the Leadership, you have the lead story that says furor over APC running mate, Muslim ticket, recipe for more crisis, Northern Christians warn. You also find above the masthead, FG orders contractor to complete 194-kilometer Yola Mubi Road project. Voluntary asset declaration, FG goes after tax defaulters. You would also find other stories, low remittances, Mass State's enactment of pension scheme. Northern youths oppose sale of 5 power plants. The terrorists we pamper today will kill us tomorrow. Kachuku. And then you have 61,000 Boko Haram suspects detained in Northeast. That's according to Aregbeshola. So, Oshun poll, INEC issues 1.5 million PVCs as IGP deploys 21,000 officers. These are the stories on the front page of the Leadership newspaper.
And on to the Nation newspaper. The Nation newspaper is also on the Oshun poll. It says, re-election, Oshun stands still for Governor Oyetola. It has a rider that says, Tinubu, Adamu, Lawan, Akonde, Omishore, Oshomole, governors rally support for performing leader. And then we also have another story here that says, ASU rejects Buhari's end to strike call. Union insists on UTAS, renegotiated 2009 agreement. Call off the strike, ADC candidate Kachiku urges lecturers. Then there's another story here that says, lull in demand drops oil price below $100 per barrel. Tax defaulters to face prosecution. This is coming from law enforcement agencies. And then we have another story here that says, battle for Alafin of Oyo's to hots up. Then it also has the 48 princes in the race. That is on page 27 of the paper. Now there's also the story here. Atiku's camp enlists orderly orders to woo Wike. Buhari in emotional reunion with old classmates. And then right at the bottom here, there's this story. Bodija market fire aided by stored petrol, says fire service. These are the major stories on the Nation newspaper.
All right, now let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. There you have the lead story on politics. It says, Oshun governorship poll, police declare war on vote buyers, deploy detectives. We have mobilized FIB operatives against vote buyers, force PRO says. Over 23,100 security officials deployed as Oshun prepares for governorship poll. Osimbajo, Aragbeshola absent, Tinubu, APC governors rally support for Oyetola. You see also above the masthead, the Muslim ticket as disastrous error, ex-SGF Lawal. You also have Nupeng threatens solidarity strike with ASU. Blame Nigerians for voting bad leaders. Goats don't vote. That's according to Senator. You also find below that, beneath the pictorial, other stories. Stop lobbying for postings. National Assembly warns workers. One-way drivers worsen Lagos-Ibadan road gridlock. Travelers stuck. Christian ticket will have set Nigeria on fire. Cleric Aedogbo. And then you also will see the pictorial there showing you the rallies going on in Osun State for the APC flag bearer in the governorship race, Adeboyega Oyetola. Well, very interesting angles to this. But let's get more perspectives on this. Okay, let's take a look at
the national economy.
Yes.
The national economy, I mean, as the name says, it moved away totally from the political issues in the country. It has a lead story that says manufacturers intensify harnessing raw materials locally as forex crunch worsens. Prices of imported raw materials now unbearable. This is coming from MAN, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. And then below the pictorial, we have a story that says six stakeholders cooperation to bridge infrastructure gap. France Nigeria Business Council, Buhari congratulates Rabiu on reappointment. We also have restructuring of discos. Group 6 protection of electricity consumers' rights. These are the major stories on the national economy.
All right. So let's get perspectives on these stories on the front pages of our newspapers. We have in the studio Ben Sherman, the Director of News, Voice of Nigeria, joining us to give perspectives. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak.
My pleasure as usual. Thank you very much.
Well, quite interesting. If you look at the Punch and the Nation newspaper, they lead with the story on the Osun governorship election coming up on the 16th of July, just a few days away from now. And rallies are ongoing, campaigns, and all of that. But we are seeing that the Minister of Interior is absent in all that is going on. All the party stalwarts of the APC are there in Osun State to rally support for the incumbent Governor Daybreak. But he is away. This seems to, also give validity to the speculation that, there's this disagreement between them.
Yes, you see, Areboshola and the Jagaban, if you check, they are of recent not on the same page. And of course, we're talking of an election.
I saw a picture of both of them hugging each other shortly after Jagaban got the ticket of the APC.
Well, you see, photographs, they say don't lie. But what about the mind? What is inside the mind itself? It's different. Sometimes some things are done for public show. No, all is well, when indeed all is not well. Sometimes we hear this cliche that has come in Nigerian parlance, it is well. They say it is well when indeed it is not well. So politically, when, the big guys are not on the same page, it says a lot as per followership. And that is why, even if they hug in public, are their followers hugging in public? We are not seeing that. And
Aregbesola have been absent not only in the whole Osun governorship thing, but even with the jailbreak in Kuje, we've not seen him visited, or we've not seen him making any public statement on that or of some sort. And the understanding was that, okay, perhaps he's busy with Osun election, but here we are at the rallies, he's still absent. So.
And a follow-up to that before he takes on it. Like you said, not Kuje. I would have thought that his priority now would be Kuje prison. But yesterday during the rally was actually at the Kirikiri maximum prison in Lagos.
Well, maybe doing the opposite thing. But you see, at the point there was a time there was a jailbreak, and there was this Security Council meeting with the president. When he came out, he was asked, said, look, this is becoming a recurring activity, so incessant. Will you want to resign and quit? He said, what difference will it make? And that brings to mind what happened in Great Britain. You could see the way ministers were just going and leaving the prime minister just like that, because they felt they were no longer serving the people the way they ought to be.
So by that statement, what difference will it make whether he resigns or stay in office? Does it mean that it's now? He's not adding any value to the cabinet, to the operations of governance in that sense?
Well, you see, at that point, some people ought to have. I think the president ought to have taken a second look at such a statement, because we're talking of human lives, we're talking of property, we're talking of security of this country. And if you look at it, see how many people are being detained in the correctional centers or prisons. They are such a huge number, to the extent that you also have the governors who indeed are refusing to sign death warrants. A judge has been found so person guilty and should die by hanging or something. But it now behoves on the governor. It's the duty of the governor. It's his duty, not that of the president, to now sign this death warrant. These governors have simply refused. And that's why we're having close to 40,000 inmates that have been, in fact, the judgment is just against them. They should be executed. Now, we're also having a situation where non-governmental organizations, human rights agencies are saying the death roll, death sentences should be abolished in Nigeria. So the Minister of Interior is having it hot, whether we like it or not. And sometimes, because of what people say, sanctity of life, will I just sign this and the person goes? But again, you juxtapose that with the people
the crime that the person
they killed,
committed?
So if you juxtapose it, you see that the law is there to simply take care of the bad guys in society. We must not give them some soft landing in the name of trying to be politically correct. If I execute this or sign a
isn't
death
it
warrant,
why we have the symbol of justice, as something that you see virtually in every court? If you look very closely, it is blind. It cannot see. So it is regardless of whoever is involved and regardless of sentiments or emotions, once you are guilty of a crime, you should face the judgment, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But in our own case, that blindfolding of the symbol of justice, so that it is served irrespective of who's what is it now? Who is God? I mean, in our own case, the governors have simply removed that veil to see, oh, this thing affects so society. If I sign this, I'm going to lose some credibility, I'm going to lose voters, I'm going to lose followers. And that is why many of them are refusing to sign this. If it were those days of the military, you see them just sign it. These are bad guys that should be, just a moment, Stella, that should be removed from society. The only person I saw once did that under a democratic dispensation was a Shumole in Edo State, because an armed robbers attacked a woman, not just attacking and dispossessing her of her belongings, they also hacked, dismembered her. It also tells you another level of criminality. So Oshimole felt he should sign it at that time, and he did it. People praise him for that. So I think that people who have killed should also be killed because the law says so. And in as much as we've not amended it, it should be done. It should be implemented.
While we are waiting for the implementation of that, these people are in custodial centers. They are supposed to be there. For no reason are they supposed to be let out, at least for now. Now, the Kuje prison issue, it has happened. I've not read anywhere that anybody has been sacked or any punishment has been meted out to anyone.
Sure, because just like we said, look at the outburst of the minister the other time. He said, if I resign, what difference will it make? So it's as usual, business as usual. I see that in Germany and also in China, a child went missing. See the deployment of Navy, police, Air Force, everyone involved looking for that child, only for him to be found in a tunnel. That is just one child. But with us, a community is attacked, and of course, all we get is condemnation. I think that we should go beyond that. And if government feels that time has come, just like the communities are feeling, some governors are feeling that we should begin to have community policing. We should have all of that, so that they assist some of these established agencies, the correctional services, civil defense corps, in terms of intelligence gathering and even intervention.
All right, so that we are back on track. We seem to kind of have deviated, but the pressure, I understand the pressure on the Minister of Interior and all of that, but is that why he seemed to be not involved with the party politics, as it were, right now?
Well, you see, being political or apolitical is a choice. There's nothing written somewhere that a former governor, a former commissioner, a former governor 2 times, and now a minister should always support so. I mean, it's not a thing that it is politically a crime.
Or could it be that his own candidate is not the person that?
Well, it could be, but I am telling you, they fell apart with the presidential candidate of the APC at the point you could see members of their camps having confrontation physically, and people were arrested. And again, we ask ourselves, where are the people, or the people that were arrested? Where are they? Are they in custody now? We don't know. So the attitude of the minister, of course, is making some people to have all sorts of comments that may not be too good as it is right now. But I think that a lot ought to be done to ensure that even the correctional services centers are given a first lift, are taken to standard, and even the inmates are also treated with some respect, so that those who are not too bad, by the time they come back, they are integrated correctly in society. If you check the number of Boko Haram guys under detention.
Mr.
Honestly,
Sherman,
you begin to laugh. What?
Mr. Sherman,
Yes.
I'm going to bring you back to the Ocean election. The minister had a candidate during the primaries. His candidate did not make it. So now his absence yesterday at the rally, a lot of people have said that it could be because his candidate did not make it. The minister is a former governor. He has his supporters. If he is seen not to be interested and his supporters, toe the same line, what do you think? Do you think that could affect the election coming up on Saturday, the APC?
Well, the truth of the matter is that he probably must have told his supporters, even if you don't see me, align with so party, but we've not seen that done in public. But you see, democracy is a game of number. If the Araboshala candidate, his followers, and that's the candidate's followers, and the minister's followers feel they should not participate in this election, that will not in any way annul the legitimacy
But could
of
it
the
affect
election.
their chances, though?
Well, it could because, I mean, since the candidate didn't win, I mean, they feel there should be just this layback, this laissez-faire. It does not affect me, so to speak. But politically, people should just simply participate in elections. But when the minister is the one leading, as alleged or as seen by people, I think that a lot ought to be done correctly, because these are people the youth are looking forward to. These are people who indeed are standard bearers when it comes to society. So the minister should, is it a thing of pride, or he felt injured, or, I mean, if someone at the point felt injured, and once in a while we see that some committees have been set up to reconcile aggrieved members, I think that should have been done. And one wonders why, as a former commissioner, as a under Asiwaju, then governor, and the Yorubas knowing for that kind of cohesion and respect for elders, I think that they ought to have sorted out this thing before now.
One thing is for sure there, that the APC has certain crisis that it's dealing with internally, even with all the pretense that we see. At the national level, a lot is really going on, going by the recent decision of the flag bearer to pick Kashim Shettima, former governor of Borno State, as his running mate. And we are seeing that one of the stories here on the front page of The Guardian is that more chieftains resign in protest over the APC's Muslim ticket. That is members of the APC and all of that. We saw another statement from, I think, something about Christian groups in the APC from the north yesterday, releasing a communique where they dismissed this and they disassociated themselves with the decision of the flag bearer. How will all of this play out, and how is this going to impact on the politics of the APC?
I think that APC ought to be very, very sensitive to the yearnings and aspirations of our Nigerians. And those who support it will always go back to history. You say Zik, when he was contesting, had a Christian candidate, Christian. Awolowo, when he was contesting at the point, had Christian. But you see, Shagari, in his own wisdom, decided that he should have Muslim Christian. And what was the result? They won the election. Now, if you look at even the military, like we've said in this program, Abdusalami Abubakar had Mike Ahigbe. Sani Abacha had Oladipo Donald Dia. You could see that. IBB also had Aikomo, and it went on and on like that. But you could see that they were sensitive to the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians. But when it comes to APC, today that we are so polarized, polarized in terms of religion. Today that hate messages are all over the place. Today that we see some religious leaders preaching things that are not unifying, some politicians preaching what is not unifying.
Well, could it
I
be-
think that APC ought to have taken into cognizance some of these yearnings.
Okay,
and
what do you
aspirations.
say to those who say that, well, one of the ways of dealing with the issues of the polarization that is in the country is to relegate this issue of religion even in our politics, which is what informed the fielding of the former Borno State governor as the runmate of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, meaning to demonstrate that it really doesn't matter. It's about competence and all of that. So perhaps is that an approach, another approach to dealing with, not focusing on the issues of the religious difference.
Yeah, you see, because of the circumstance in which we found ourselves, Nigerians must always talk based on this kind of combination, Muslim or Christian. So if you are talking of competence, are we saying that a whole 19 northern states, that there is no competent Christian to pair up with Asiwaju Tinubu? When Buhari was 2015, contemplating who it was to be, we heard that Ahmed Bola Tinubu was insisting he should be paired with President Buhari. That time was a candidate. At the point, Buhari and co insisted, look, let us be sensitive to Nigerians. Let us have, I am a Muslim, as Buhari is. He said, let there be a Southern Christian. And that was how Osinbajo came in from nowhere to be vice president, and they won. If today they said, okay, let's call the bluff, I think it's really not the issue. So we should be cautious. We should be mindful. We should know that religion has become so sensitive to the extent that many people are insensitive to some yearnings of the people. And they might turn out to be too injurious to the system, to humanity, and to collective interest and peaceful living of Nigerians. So I think it's just not the best at all. But like I've seen some religious people also saying, look, especially the Christians, say it's yours to make. There are other parties too. You can choose to vote or stand for, to follow. So the choice is theirs. But you also see that in spite of the Muslim ticket, you find Christians saying, look, we're going to vote for that. And again, on the other side of the divide, you see that some Christians are saying, look, in as much as we have Christians, you see some Muslims saying, oh, we can also vote for that. So there is this side of divide or line of divide in
okay,
the
Mr. Shemang, I'd like to take you on this story on the front page of the Daily Trust. Salah Ansaru preaches rebellion against government in Kaduna. Not too long ago, during the small Salah, I don't know if you remember, Ansaru came out and celebrated with the people of those communities. He shared biscuits to the people. It performed stunts and to the admiration of the people. And during this Salah, at that time, experts warned that people should not take it on face value, that that was the way Boko Haram started. During the Salah, they went around preaching rebellion. As a matter of fact, this story says that they were telling the people to pick up arms and, go against the government of the state. What can you say to that?
Yes, to add to that, Stella, if any person is found with a poster of a politician, he's down for it, he's gone, he's a goner. Now, which also tells us something about what in military circle they say ungoverned spaces. Is it that there's no government presence there? Recalling that this is mostly around Birningwari area. Recall that about 3 weeks ago, DPO was sent there on the very first day of his arrival, assuming duty. He was kidnapped as well. And this is the same Birningwari area where indeed farmers pay some of these terrorists in order to go farm. It's really not the best. So we expect that security agencies should just go there. Not just a few, go there en masse, destabilize them, I mean, whatever force they must use. I mean, the military is not meant for the diplomacy, so they should do what they are supposed to do. And of course,
But why do you think nothing has been done? Because shortly after the report then, even the governor of the state came out to acknowledge the fact that some local governments were under the control of this group. So why is it that till date, nothing has been done? And it appears that these people are gaining more grounds.
well, I wouldn't know whether something has been done or not been done, but the fact that they are coming out with this outburst and is now preaching openly, saying go for rebellion, it is a very serious thing that the security agencies should not just sweep under the carpet. And therefore, we expect that, look, I'll still call for this community policing. Apart from that, I saw that the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, is saying that they're going to use those he calls reservists or those who have just retired and are willing to join. I think that if the time has come, and I think it has come, they should be mobilized and deployed to fight this insurgency before they stabilize, before they increase in number, before they pollute or radicalize some of these innocent children who indeed, once as a child, soldier child, I mean, they don't always have this conscience of the elderly, so they can kill without minding.
All right, so briefly before we go, the lead story on the Daily Trust newspaper, how Nigeria borrowed 225 trillion naira in 20 years. And, when you look at this number, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
First, I'm asking myself, at the point, this same period under review, then President Obasanjo ensured that all Nigerian debts were paid and we were debt-free. So how come in terms of borrowing, we are reaching this figure that is scaring? It's so scary. And of course, how won't we borrow when indeed we have to, we have a workforce that is so huge, we have to borrow to pay? How won't we borrow when indeed we have to remodel our airports here and there? How won't we borrow when we want to have a standard gauge kind of a railway system? How won't we borrow when indeed the roads are so bad? So too many things are there. But again, when we do borrow, what is the money being used for? And when you look at the borrowing, the federal government is borrowing, state governments are borrowing. Now, who indeed permits this kind of borrowing, and who monitors the use of this money? Or is it a debt or debts that have been left for generations yet unborn? Because we surely have to pay for this, and not just paying the amount on paper, we have to pay with interest. And when the time limit passes too, you pay higher. So it's a whole lot of things when indeed inflation is biting so hard. It's actually scaring. And we are talking of a situation where electricity is not in supply.
Some people have said that they have questioned the way the Senate approves some of the requests by the federal government to borrow. Some experts have said that the Senate does not go through the agreements and what these monies are meant for and what it's going to cost Nigeria before they approve some of this.
Yeah, you see, the thing with state government loans is that once tabled at the Senate, if you have two senators saying they disagree, of course it will not be given. But we also have the Senate president who indeed said that as far as he was concerned, anything that the president brings, okay, it was going to work. And of course, the state governors, of course, because they belong to one party, I mean, you see that many of these things get to pass through easily. But we should look at the interest. And again, who oversights these debts and the project? If you collect, what is it meant for? What's the period of a project? So that you don't leave what you call uncompleted projects for an incoming regime. And watch one thing, Stella. Now that some governors have just some 10 months to go, they will do a lot of recruitment and will not pay. salaries and sign out. And in doing that, another burden is already given to the incoming regime. The moment such an incoming regime begins to sack, they say, oh, he just came in and he has started retrenchment. And so we should watch out. That also includes local government elections. You see that when tenures are almost ending, you now organize local government, all the while you've never organized elections. But the moment you want to go, you now say, elections for local governments are to be held, and once held, they are now 3 years.
Okay.
Make, you know.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. We have to end the session at this